Hey everyone, this week I've been driving this 2020 Honda CR-V Hybrid. The Hybrid is a new addition to the CR-V lineup for 2020. The CR-V in its current generation has been on sale since the 2017 model year, and it receives a mild facelift for 2020. And as part of those changes, Honda took the opportunity to introduce a hybrid model. It's aimed directly at the Toyota RAV4 hybrid, which is a really competitive offering in this segment. And the CR-V hybrid looks to be a pretty competitive offering as well. Like the RAV4 hybrid, the CR-V hybrid represents the highest performing CR-V in the lineup. This vehicle makes 212 horsepower. The non-hybrid CR-V makes 190 horsepower. So in addition to being way more fuel efficient than your everyday CR-V, CR-V hybrid is actually a little bit quicker and a little bit better to drive than the regular CR-V. So I think that speaks to hybrid technology and how much it's evolving. 5-10 years ago, buying the hybrid meant getting better fuel economy, but sacrificing when it comes to performance. In recent years though, and this is a new theme that's been spearheaded by Toyota, hybrid models now offer better fuel economy and, for the most part, better performance than their gas counterparts. So I think that's an interesting thing that's happening in the automotive world right now. But either way, let's take a little tour of the CR-V hybrid. So the CR-V is pretty much your standard egg-shaped crossover. The 2020 refresh gives it new headlights. The hybrid has a slightly different lower front fascia. Like every hybrid vehicle, Honda CR-V hybrid comes with a blue outlined Honda logo. Hybrid badging on the fenders here. I do like this color. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's like a milky blue-gray. Looks good. Take a look at the badging around back. It's pretty heavy. So, Honda logo, CR-V badge, all-wheel drive badge, hybrid badge, and the touring badge, because this is a fully loaded touring model. Kick to open, rear tailgate. Got it on the first try. Nice. So cargo volume in this thing is among the best in the segment, if not the best in the segment. With the seats folded flat, this thing has 76 cubic feet of cargo space. The RAV4, by comparison, has just 70 cubic feet of available space if you fold the seats down. Some things back here, you've got a retractable cargo cover, some lights on either side of the cargo area. You lose your spare tire with the hybrid, and that's because, I may regret this, but that's because your hybrid battery resides in the spare tire well, but you do get a air compressor, and I imagine that's a patch kit in there. Tire repair kit storage only. Please return tire repair kit to original location and position after use. One nice feature in the cargo area are these handles that allow you to put the second row seats down from in the cargo area. A lot of cars have this, but in the case of the CR-V here, they're just really nice to operate. They're comfortable to grab. They're kind of just like door handles, and you pull them, and there you go. Seats go down, and not only do they go down, but they fold really flat. It's nice to have that with both sides folded. You could fit a big TV back here, furniture, whatever. Really practical. I just washed this thing and then it rained, so we've got watermarks all over it. That's okay. Climbing behind the wheel, and here is a look at the window sticker. So you can see selling point of any hybrid model is fuel economy, and this one is rated at 40 mpg city, 35 highway, and 38 combined. The Toyota RAV4 hybrid is rated at 40 mpg combined, so the CR-V doesn't quite meet it in terms of efficiency, nor does it meet it in terms of total power output. RAV4 hybrid makes 219 horsepower. This vehicle makes 212 combined horsepower. I attribute the RAV4's slightly more efficient rating to the fact that it uses hybrid motors for its all-wheel drive system. So at the rear, to power the rear wheels when necessary, the RAV4 features electric motors. And the CRV hybrid here uses the same all-wheel drive system as the regular CRV, meaning that there's actually a drive shaft that runs to the rear wheels and engages when needed. So given that it's a mechanical all-wheel drive system, I think you lose a little bit of efficiency when it comes to fuel economy. Anyway though, this is a loaded touring model. That color is called Sonic Gray Pearl. I'm assuming that's what the P stands for. As equipped, this one comes in at just under $36,000, and that's pretty competitive with the rest of the segment. Like I said, this vehicle was last fully redesigned for the 2017 model year, and the interior feels a little bit behind the curve. It's a Honda interior, so touch points are all really good. Ergonomics are pretty good. Materials quality is high. This is a pretty nice cabin. I mean, look at the seats. It's got nice stitching. They're good looking seats. All the material is tight and firm. It's a nice interior. It's just not super modern. I do like this push button gear selector here. So it means that there's no gear knob in your way down here. It's kind of positioned on the center stack. That's pretty nice. That frees up a lot of space on the center console here. So in this touring model, you get wireless charging pad. You've got your two cup holders here. And then this is kind of a funky center console storage box. So first of all, slides forward, so you get a little longer armrest if you want it, and then push it back. And there's a little paddle here that lifts the lid off, but you'll notice there's no front. So it's not really a storage box. It's more just a three-sided box, but there's more to it. You can open this thing, slide it back, and that allows you access to this area down here. There's a 12-volt power outlet in there, and then you can lift this up, and there's a granola bar hiding in there. Not mine. But you can fit even bigger items in here because this thing lifts up. So a lot of configurability to that. Kind of unorthodox to have a center console storage box that isn't exactly a box. And I haven't figured, no, you can't. This is the only way that this goes. So yeah, it's not like you can make a box out of this piece here. But at least you've got fully enclosed storage underneath here if you want it. We'll go ahead and turn this thing on. So one weaker point of this vehicle is the infotainment system. You can see right away that it's kind of a small screen. The housing here makes it look big, but when you get down to the actual screen, it's pretty small. And you might have heard me wince there because not only is there a beep every time you press a button on the screen, but there's also about a 1 to 1.5 second delay, and it just makes it feel really cumbersome to use. You can see the delay with each station change, and just the fact that I have to push a button, and it's, I guess you don't have to press it that hard, but it's just an older design, not super intuitive. Probably one of my least favorite infotainment designs that I've encountered. I have to think that Honda is readying a next generation version of this infotainment system. The newer Acura models all get a really sharp new system, and I hope some of that technology trickles down to Honda products. One thing worth mentioning, a couple years ago when they introduced this system, Honda moved to a touch slider for volume controls, and people absolutely hated it, rightfully so. So they've gone and added a volume knob back in. So that's nice. You at least get a volume knob. You also get volume controls on the steering wheel, which is primarily what most people are probably using these days. Digital gauge cluster. You can see I haven't used a whole lot of fuel over the course of my time with this vehicle. I have gotten a little bit under that 38 mpg rating. The vehicle's been sitting a lot, so I would take that 30.2 rating with a grain of salt. Altogether, I've probably seen between 33 and 35 miles per gallon, but I tend to drive these vehicles pretty aggressively. Another weird element of the interior here is this faux wood trim. It's not gaudy, it's subtle enough, but it's still just kind of funny to be including wood trim in a 2020 model year vehicle, especially a hybrid. So I guess that's a matter of taste. I think we've covered the front seat here. Normal sized sunroof, not a whole lot else. There's a little mirror here in the sunglass holder, so you can keep an eye on the kids in the back seat. But yeah, I think that does it for the front seat. Let's hop in the back seat. So this thing is pretty spacious. You can see I'm about 5'11". That's where I have the seat when I'm driving. And you can see there's still a good bit of space back here. Pretty nice, actually. And then a bonus, you have basically a flat floor back here. There's a little bit of a hump, but nowhere near the size of the hump that you get in a lot of vehicles. So that helps the second row to feel much more spacious. Pretty wide seat. Again, it's pretty comfortable. Door panels back here. So this is a hard plastic, so it's not as nice as the material used on the front door panels, but you still get what I'm assuming is synthetic leather, that kind of controversial wood trim, and then hard plastic padding right here. Yeah, not too bad. Like I mentioned, this is one of the bigger compact SUVs on sale today, and I think the amount of space you get with this thing is probably one of its biggest selling points. 2 USB ports back here, nice, and air vents, also nice. Yeah, there you go. That about covers the back seat. Going for a quick ride in the CR-V. That didn't sound good. Wow. Huh. So it felt pretty good. The batteries give you instant torque, which is nice. One of my favorite things about hybrid vehicles. But yikes, those revs sat really high. Jeez. I don't think there's anything wrong with the vehicle. I think that's just how it is. So yeah, maybe not the car for hard accelerations, but around town, the supplemental nature of the electric element of the powertrain means you've got really instant torque. So you feel that when you hit the accelerator. So having that battery boost is nice. Fuel economy obviously is good. So it's a 2.5 liter force, 2 liter. It's a 2 liter 4-cylinder engine supplemented by a battery and a hybrid motor. Yeah, that instant torque is really nice. So the powertrain's really great, aside from that drone when you step on it. That was kind of alarming. At lower speeds, you can hear like a whirring sound. I think that's a supplemental noise to account for the fact that the vehicle's basically silent a lot of the time. Yeah, it's like a low-pitched spaceship noise, I guess. So Honda does a really good job at making their SUVs a lot like minivans. They don't look like minivans. Well, I guess that's subjective, but I don't think they really look too much like minivans. But once you get inside of them, they have a lot of minivan-like attributes. Like this one has nothing on the center console except storage, which is really nice. That clever storage solution in the console box here that I showed you. You've got this mirror for keeping an eye on the kids behind you, and just all around it's a very open cabin. This vehicle is packaged really efficiently, meaning that it isn't necessarily huge on the outside, but it offers a ton of cargo volume. And the fact that those second row seats fold perfectly flat means that you can fit some pretty bulky items in here. Infotainment's probably the one weak point. It's just not, it's not the best one that I've experienced. It feels old. It feels like 6 or 8 years old at this point. I don't know that it would stop me from buying the vehicle, but it certainly isn't a selling point. All around, when people talk to me about buying an SUV, I find that most people are interested in the compact SUV segment. That is the best-selling SUV segment. And the three that I generally recommend are the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CR-V, and the new Ford Escape. And I recommend the hybrid version of all three of those. I haven't done the math completely, but for the most part, any of those three within a reasonable ownership period are going to pay off in terms of the extra money that you spend on the hybrid versus the fuel that you save by driving the hybrid. So the payoff period is pretty reasonable with those. And then the thing that you can't really put a number to is that added horsepower. Just makes the vehicle a little bit nicer to drive day to day. So you've got to factor that in as a selling point. And when you combine those two things, more fuel efficient and more powerful, it's pretty clear that the hybrids are now the better option. So the vehicle that the CR-V hybrid is most likely to be cross-shopped against, and the vehicle that I've referenced throughout this review, is the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Comparing them side by side, I feel like the RAV4 is slightly more expressive, maybe a little bit more exciting. The dashboard layout in the interior is a little bit more interesting, a little bit more modern. It's got a really clever storage shelf in front of the passenger, and then another cool storage cubby on the dashboard to the left of the steering wheel. So it's just clever things like that that the new RAV4 incorporates that the CR-V doesn't really have. But the CR-V makes up for that with a pretty big cargo area and just really smart, simple storage solutions. Like, you've got this big storage box here, the second row folds perfectly flat. It's really easy to put the second row seats down from the cargo area. The CR-V has slightly more sensible features, whereas the RAV4 is a little more exciting. So it comes down to which of those you value more. Of course, they're priced pretty similarly, but another determinant will be what your local dealer is offering in terms of financial incentives when you go to purchase the vehicle. So there's a lot of things there that make it difficult to say that one is objectively better than the other. It really comes down to taste and circumstance. So I think that about wraps up our CR-V hybrid review. Altogether, this is a pretty obvious addition to the CR-V lineup. The Toyota RAV4 hybrid is arguably the best RAV4, and I think after driving the CR-V hybrid here, I can say that the CR-V hybrid is also probably the best CR-V. And on that note, thank you for watching.